another second? How about another minute? Standing in place can be so condescending, but I'm ending. Okay, so I promise that I will say when the spoilers are coming, but for right now, this is all spoiler free. Beau is Afraid. I was actually really excited to go see this movie because I really like Midsommar, really like Hereditary, and this is his third big film. Midsommar is actually one of my favorite movies. Like, I remember, I think I went to the theaters to watch it like 3 or 4 times. I went to watch the director's cut, which is actually pretty cool. And now Beau is Afraid. Overall, I think that this was definitely not a miss for Ari Aster. I thought maybe it could have been because now he has like a bigger actor to work with. At the same time, I just thought to myself, his mind and like the themes that he talks about, which are mainly grief and generational trauma, this movie definitely didn't disappoint. The only thing that I will say though is that it is pretty intense, and I would say probably the most intense out of those films. I feel like I can't just recommend this to anyone. The whole movie is just basically anxiety and watching this guy in his whole life just already crumbled life, basically crumbling even more. But there is a lot of comedy, I would say, a lot of dark humor in there, and I think that's what kind of keeps the film alive for you to want to stick through 3 hours, by the way, 2 hours and 59 minutes. And I'm someone who pees a lot. When I went to go see it, I actually didn't go pee. So that's all I'm going to say. But as far as rewatch value, this is a crazy movie. I don't know if you want to put this crazy movie on, like every Sunday or whatever, Taking all that into account, if I had to rate, I think I would rate it as an 8. I don't consider myself a hard critic because I feel like I'm easily entertained. But I think you guys will see more of how I rate movies, especially like on Instagram, to kind of see what kind of critic I am, like how hard I am. But I really think I'm not. So I would give this an 8. So anyways, now this is the part where I'm just gonna talk and give all the spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I would probably stop watching this. Unless you don't care about the spoilers, then watch. Like, I think it's gonna be good. So alright, so let's just get into it. First of all, what the fuck, right? Like, this movie, you know what, let me just tell you a quick story about when I went into the theater, okay? So I went into the theater, we were rushing, we knew we were gonna miss the trailers. I still had to go use the restroom, and I went to go get water cup for me and my friend. The movie had just started. I was walking up the steps, and I was going into my aisle. Everybody was silent. The film was very low, and I'm scooching with 2 water cups. I'm just like, okay, I'm just sorry, lady, and I just feel like a big splash just like go over me, and I'm just like, oh, and then I just keep going, I'm just like, damn, I hope I didn't wet this lady, because like that's pretty fucked up. Like, I didn't even say sorry because I wanted to think that it just went through my leg, and I sat down, just like, like, fuck, like, is she gonna say something? But she actually didn't say anything or like do anything, so I'm hoping I didn't. So the beginning of this movie is just, you're waiting for jump scares, kind of just because of how crazy this world kind of seems to be. And I mean, this is also all in his eyes. Some of it is definitely true, right? Because I mean, the whole movie, you're kind of juggling to figure out like what's real, what's not. You see him living in this apartment complex that seems to be in like a city, like it looks like downtown. You need like a code to go in and everything. And there's a lot of homeless people there that seem to be crazy. And he feels very scared of people out there. So, it takes him everything to go from that door to across the street to the liquor store for the water, you know what I'm talking about. And it kind of felt very real, Like, I've walked through this street before in like downtown at 2 in the morning, you know? Ari Aster is just really good at making you feel like you're in the film, right? So like here, even though we're seeing it through, you know, Beau's perspective in third person, it's still like you're there sometimes. He takes a long time for the scene to breathe. It allows us to kind of immerse ourselves even more into the shot, right? Because nowadays I feel like with social media and, you know, things like TikTok, Reels, it's all short form content. And people are always just swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping, right? So our attention span is kind of has lowered. And so I feel like we kind of lose the moment, you know, the present, because it's just so easy to go from one video to the next. I feel like when you're watching an Ari Aster film, you're kind of forced to be in that moment. I think that that's a little more natural to us as humans. So when we are experiencing something like that, I think it draws you more into the story, right? With the big screen, like you're there. So like, you know, big examples that aren't from this movie is the dinner scene in Hereditary, you know, where the mom is like yelling at her son. Let me see if I'm gonna pull it up real quick. So like this scene right here, just the silence, right? And sure, the camera's moving a lot, like from one person to another, but see right here,
You okay, Mom? What?
like the scene's breathing.
On your mind?
You know what I mean? Like everything's kind of going slow.
Is there something on
right?
your mind?
It's like in Midsommar when they were waiting for the elders to come out so they can start eating. Like that scene took so long, you know. And I'm sure that there's people that went to go to the movies and they saw this movie and they were like, bro, like why is this taking so long, right? And it was silent. It was silent for like 2 minutes, maybe more. So the beginning of the movie was anxiety driven. Thinking about it now after I've seen it, right? The mom was behind everything, right? Like even where he was living. And when the, you know, the family take him in after he gets ran over, you're just kind of like, these people are just really nice people. But obviously this is an Ari Aster film, so like, you know, there's some shit going on. And that whole story with, you know, the family grieving their son and they're taking in people with mental illness to kind of cope with that, but also neglecting their daughter, right? They could have been putting all that time and energy into their daughter and everyone kind of like getting over it together as a family. And the whole thing with the daughter, you know, dying is obviously consequences for what I just said. I don't think that that was part of the plan. And then also the guy, what's his name? Jeeves? They said that, you know, he killed everyone in his squad and now they have him there, which I don't understand. That's like the only thing I didn't really understand. Like, why would they keep the guy that killed their son? If that's what happened, like, why are they doing that? And like, how is that helping them cope, I guess is what I'm thinking. And during this whole time, he thinks that his mom is dead, right? Like he leaves and he gets into this random theater play that I'm just like, again, was this orchestrated from the mom? Like, was he supposed to go there and be found there? And you know, that whole segment I thought was really nice, and I think it's part of what Ari Aster was actually trying to say as part of this film, of like, you know, there's like ups and downs in life, but you just, you know, you got to get through it. And I think Beau is kind of identifying himself as he's watching this, kind of like the same way that we do whenever we watch any movies. I'm sure, you know, people related a lot to this movie. Beau being kind of like this big baby, you know, that never got to grow up because he succumbed to, you know, his mom, her fears and all that. And he inherited all that. And anyways, back to the whole theater thing, which again I still didn't understand. But yeah, at first when I first saw it, I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, Why is he doing this? And the whole time I kind of did think that this was a little orchestrated, but I didn't think the mom was alive. That I wasn't sure. And then, obviously, like, there's some things like the guy that starts shooting at him. Okay, see, this is what I don't understand, okay? There's a lot of things I don't understand. This is, I feel like, more of like a questions video as opposed to an answers video. But I'm just wondering, like, the guy that came in and he was shooting up the place, right? At first, I'm like, oh, snap, like, maybe he's this rich dude, right? Because of the mom. Someone is trying to kill him so that he doesn't inherit things. That's what I was thinking was happening. But then when he comes out in the attic, I was like, so this guy's not real. So did he imagine the gunshots? Or maybe it was fear that, like, was kind of leading him to leave? Okay, and then the scene at the house, he sees a picture, or actually we see a picture as he's going down the stairs of him with the phone in his apartment, probably when he found out that his mom passed away. And then when he was with the other family, and it seemed like the lady was trying to like give him hints that this was all orchestrated, which I still don't understand why she was doing that. But she tells him to go to the channel, right, to see something, and it was the cameras, right, in the house, like he was being recorded. But then he goes fast forward and we see shots from the rest of the movie. And I remember, like, most of them. It was in the paint room, on the boat towards the end. There was another one that I actually forgot. Was that real? Like, why would he be able to kind of see the future there? Even if it wasn't real, it did happen. So that's what I'm not understanding. So anyways, that's question number 1. Question number 2, she had a picture of him. Did she mean for him to see that picture and react and think like, oh, that's kind of funny, And maybe that's another thing that she was kind of thinking of, like, oh, like, he didn't even notice that I put this picture up. Yeah, this movie a lot is about guilt too, right? Like, the mom is just guilting him of everything. Obviously, this is an over-exaggeration of someone's life, but there's a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of people empathize with him, But anyways, okay. Someone explain to me the scene with Elaine. Did she have the same heart condition that he did, and then she just died after climaxing? Or was she fake the whole time, and in his mind he he thought she was real? Like, that's what I was starting to think, like, oh, it was like a sex doll, but like his mind like made him think that she was her or whatever. Then for a second I thought it was the mom, and I was like, whoa, because I forgot how the mom looked at that point. I was just like, whoa, like, don't tell me that the mom just put on like a black wig and she's trying to do this to get his sperm for like an heir because of his family, right? Like his dad. Yeah, at that point, like, I didn't understand the whole thing with the dad. Like, I didn't understand if he just walked away or if she took all his money after he passed away, and like purposely. The way, that she was like talking to Beau, like he was a kid, was kind of weird. I think everybody felt that. But yeah, I just don't understand. I just don't understand, like, that whole thing with Elaine. Like, did the mom poison her? Like, what happened? Like, I don't understand, and the film never explains it. And then obviously the attic. For some time I thought that was his brother that was up there and shunned. But I think that was just like a daydream of his when he was a kid. But then he goes up and he sees like the big penis monster. And then, the same guy that was in the forest starts like attacking it. And it's like, What the fuck is going on? Like, what is real and what was up there that actually made him afraid? Like, this is what we're seeing through his eyes, right? But what triggered him to see those things? And like for her to know, like, oh, he's gonna go up there and he's gonna get triggered. Like, that's what I don't understand. And then obviously, like, oh, does he kill his mom? I don't know. I think he did. He was choking her and then maybe she fainted off of the shock and maybe got like a heart attack. That's what I was thinking happened. And then he walks away. He gets on the boat and now he's kind of quote unquote finally free. And then he goes through the trial or whatever with the audience and the mom and the lawyer, and his lawyer gets pushed off. Like, I knew that at that point that was all fake. Maybe it was just him thinking that, he's finally free, and he was still very afraid of his mom. I think that was his last kind of thoughts before the boat sank. Like, he was probably just very overwhelmed and, broke down, and maybe that led to the boat to sink. I thought that was interesting, and it wasn't necessarily what I thought it would end like. I guess I thought it was gonna be a little more about a cult again because of Hereditary and Midsommar. But I still enjoyed the movie a lot. If you're an Ari Aster fan of like his work, I think you definitely should go see it, because if you went through Hereditary and you went through Midsommar, you're okay. I think you could go through Beau is Afraid, even though again I do think that this is the most intense one so far, the one that I felt the most like I was there. So yeah, I wanted to get on here and talk about something, and this movie just, there's so many things. I have so many questions. If anybody knows, please tell me. All right, that's the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Still not sure if we're talking about K-pop or movies or what, but we're gonna be talking about something. So yeah.
Stay alert, stay alive. Don't think that I will provide. You would make it if you tried, but you'd rather live a lie.